we're switching to English. This event is in English. Working language of this event is English. We are welcoming everybody who has joined us today. This is our event dedicated to rules for entry and stay of foreigners in Kazakhstan. In a few minutes, we're going to be broadcasting this event to EUROBAK World Monitor magazine page. I highly encourage you to share that page with your friends. And I'm doing this right now. Please sign for World Monitor page in Facebook and share live broadcasting of our event dedicated to rules for entry and stay of foreigners in Kazakhstan. This event is organized in partnership with Work Permit Kazakhstan. And this afternoon, together with us, we have Anuar Munbaev, manager of Work Permit Group, and Anel Saulen, director of Almaty office of Work Permit Kazakhstan. If you follow me on Facebook, you might have noticed a screenshot of us getting ready to do this event and asking you to watch this event live or in record. And don't ask any more questions that we're going to answer. Of course, I'm kidding, but it is probably most popular topic and request that we've been receiving from EUROBAK. And from what I see following the statuses and some of the groups in Facebook, that it is quite often people don't know what is happening, what are the rules, how to proceed, there are constantly new rules, obviously. That's why when I'm saying don't ask us any more questions, it's impossible, because almost every day we have new rules coming in. And some of them are good news, because as vaccination progresses, the governments have to react and introduce new rules. IATA is introducing new rules on entrance. There are some countries that have already started accepting confirmation of your body blood tests, confirming that you have antibodies, to vaccination passports. So the world is progressing to going back to normal, it seems like. I don't know, again, if you follow me on Facebook, you might have seen that Israel has announced perfect news, I think, and it's a wish to come true, that they have won over COVID, and they're stopping all the restrictions in regards to COVID-19. Hopefully this news will spread to the rest of the world as soon as it is at all possible. And we are about to start, and we will talk about what are the rules at the moment for foreigners to enter Kazakhstan and stay in Kazakhstan. As I said earlier, we have specialists from Work Permit Kazakhstan, and you are more than welcome to let us know what company and what city of Kazakhstan, city of Almaty you are joining us from. Hint, hint. Let us know where you're connecting from, and this is an excellent opportunity for you to actually promote your company. Tell us what company you're from, what city you're from, and we are reaching 5 minutes of wait, our regular tradition, and I will not be taking more of your time and pass the word to Anwar and Anel.
Yes, I see a lot of people from different cities of Kazakhstan joining the webinar. I would like to thank you for your attendance. So today we prepared a brief overview of the existing rules for entry and stay of foreigners in Kazakhstan. There are a lot of changes since the beginning of this year, and every time the Kazakhstan government tries to improve the existing procedures for entry, exit, and stay of foreigners in Kazakhstan. And we have received a lot of questions prior to the webinar date. So we will review the participants' questions during the Q&A session. And also attendees of the webinar will have an opportunity to ask the question online. So we will have 10 minutes on Zoom session where you can submit your question via the Zoom chat, or if you would like, you can raise up your hand and ask your question using your video phone or video call. So let's start the presentation, and let me just one moment, and here we are. So again, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Anwar Munbaev, and I'm the manager of WPK Group, along with my colleague Anel Saulen, director of our Almaty office. We will share our experience and we will try to answer the questions we received before the seminar, the webinar, and also the questions of the attendees during the Zoom session. So let's start from the beginning, and I would like to start from the current procedure for entry to Kazakhstan. So there is requirements for a foreigner in order to arrive in Kazakhstan, a foreigner needs to provide, first of all, the interdepartmental community entry permission when applicable. So we will share the experience about obtaining IDC entry permission for multiple entries and exits as well for business and work purposes. Also, a foreigner needs a visa to arrive in Kazakhstan, considering the suspension of the visa-free regime for 54 countries. So still no possibility to arrive in Kazakhstan under visa-free regime, but foreigners need to apply for an appropriate visa and PCR certificate, which is also required while entering Kazakhstan. There's some exemptions, and we will consider those exemptions by the next slides. So what is the interdepartmental community entry permission? So this IDC entry permission is issued for single, multiple entry and exit. If you need to travel multiple times to Kazakhstan, so the inviting organization should apply for multiple entry exit IDC permission. If you need to travel, for example, for 1 week and there's no any, let's say, plan to, for example, to travel to Kazakhstan in the nearest time, so you can apply for single entry. But my apologies. So yes, it doesn't depend on the numbers of your visits to Kazakhstan. So usually in practice, IDC permission is issued for work and business purposes. So, for example, if you're traveling for work purposes, you need to apply for work visa C3 category as well. If you have, let's say, business meetings, some participation in the conferences, or, for example, installation of the equipment, so you can apply for B2 and B3 business visa. Also, IDC permission is issued for family members when family members accompany foreign employees on the C3 work visa. So IDC permission is not required for the citizens of countries when there is the direct air flight. So Kazakhstan has resumed direct air flights with 15 countries. At this moment, here the updated list. So citizens of these countries do not require any IDC permission. They can travel to Kazakhstan only with the visa when applicable. For CIS countries, no need to apply for visas. So still visa-free trips applicable for this category of foreign nationals. And also, there is no requirement to have a flight directly from your home country if you're, let's say, a German citizen. So you can travel, let's say, via directly from Germany, or you can use your transit flight, for example, from Minsk, from Turkey, or from any other country where we have the international flights. Also, about the visa-free regime, as we said before, it is suspended and suspended till December 31st, 2021. So citizens of these countries will require visa to travel to Kazakhstan. And unfortunately, there is no opportunity for them to travel under tourist purposes, still only business, usually in practice business, work, and private trips applicable for the citizens of these countries. For example, if, let's say, a UK citizen willing to travel to Kazakhstan to visit his family, citizens of Kazakhstan, for example, in Almaty, so he can apply for private visa and travel to Kazakhstan for, let's say, 1 month, depending on the period of stay. So in practice, tourist visas are under suspension, and there is no any information when the Kazakhstan authorities will introduce the possibility to apply for tourist visas for other citizens, foreign citizens. So about the PCR certificate, still there is a requirement to provide for the individuals arriving in Kazakhstan the PCR certificate with the negative results. So this certificate is not required for children under 5 years old. So still, the validity of the certificate remains unchanged. So 74 hours since the date of issuance, and if there is no any PCR certificates while you're traveling to Kazakhstan, so usually in practice, a foreign national can be deported from Kazakhstan without any PCR certificate or with expired PCR certificate. And the last update, Kazakhstan citizens and Kazakhstan residence permit holders, only 2 categories of individuals are exempt from requirement to provide the PCR certificate only if they were vaccinated on the territory of Kazakhstan. It means, for example, if I'm a residence permit holder and I got vaccination in Almaty, full course of vaccination, so I'm allowed to travel to Kazakhstan when needed without any PCR certificate. If I'm a residence permit holder and currently I'm outside the Kazakhstan territory, so but I got vaccination, for example, in Russia or in my home country, in the UK, for example. So this vaccination passport or any documents confirming vaccination procedure will not be applicable in Kazakhstan. Only documents, vaccination passport, which was issued in Kazakhstan, can be provided in order to travel to Kazakhstan. So this is the last update, and if the Kazakhstan authorities will expand the categories of individuals who can receive those exemptions while traveling to Kazakhstan, we will make further announcement about these changes as well. Vaccination passports can be received in the YouGov mobile app. So still we see some practice when the foreigners face some problems with downloading these passports because there's no information about the foreign employee or any other problems. But the Kazakhstan authorities trying to improve the current situation and fix all the problems with the applications like eGov, like Ashyq. So we just need to be more patient in order to further use those applications in our life. So the vaccination passport contains the standard information about the vaccine, the institution where the vaccine was produced, and other details. So this vaccination passport can be downloaded in 3 languages, including English as well. So this is the brief information about the vaccination passport. We have received several questions about the using vaccination passport while traveling to Kazakhstan. So in our own Q&A session, we will answer those questions regarding the PCR, regarding the vaccination passport later on. About the Ashyq application, so a lot of questions. So how does this application work? What is the main purpose of this application? So very simple. The main purpose of the Ashyq application is to protect the visitors and staffs from spreading the COVID coronavirus infection and minimize all the risks related to this spread. And there's two basic functions of the application. First of all, this application helps to register the user's login to the building. For example, if you would like to visit the restaurant, or you would like to visit some, for example, building like museum or any other building, so you need to use this Ashyq application and to scan the QR code, and this QR code will give you the status or the status of the visitor, and will later on advise you whether you are permitted to enter or not. So there are four basics Ashyq status. So green status confirms that no entry restrictions. You are allowed to visit all the places. So and free movements for the holders of green status. For blue, yes, for blue status, no entry restrictions as well. But when, for example, there is a requirement to provide a PCR certificate while you're entering the building or the premises, so you will not be allowed to enter the building. So for yellow status, no admittance. Unfortunately, there's some restrictions on visiting the public places. So they're allowed only to visit groceries or pharmacy for their personal needs. And the red zone, it's no admittance. You are vaccinated, you are COVID positive result person. So so no other variants except home isolation regime, and only after 14 days of home isolation, you are allowed to, first of all, to submit the PCR certificate in order to receive the results of the COVID coronavirus infection. And then once you are, for example, you receive negative results, you can check your status in the application, in the Ashyq application later on. So today, the Kazakhstan government announced that they will work on improvement of the application of Ashyq, because still there's some problems with the integration with the other informational systems like vaccination of the Ministry of Healthcare. So even if you got two vaccines, for example, still you can receive only blue status in the application of Ashyq. So they will update this Ashyq application, and we need to wait once everything works smoothly and no problems with the further connection to this application. Also, one of the most important information we wanted to share with you is the departure of foreigners, so with the expired documents. So there is a deadline, the permitted term, June 5th, when foreigners by this period, before June 5th, 2021, all foreigners with expired documents or expiring travel documents like passport, visa, residence permits, temporary residence permits, mostly for CIS countries, they're allowed to depart from Kazakhstan without any administrative fines and sanctions before that time. Or what if, for example, you plan to stay after 5th June, you plan to extend your period of stay. So only two options available for the foreigners after 5th of June. So if you decide to to extend your stay in Kazakhstan, you can only extend your stay if you have or you apply for work permit and work visa, C3 category. And if, for example, you have your family here in Kazakhstan, they're KZ citizens, you can apply for C2 family reunion visa. So only two purposes of visits are possible and available for the citizens willing to stay after June 5th. For example, if you are staying here under private visa or under business visa and this visa was already expired, so no other variants. If you cannot extend your private or business visa, you need to apply for work visa, for example, or to leave the country until June 5th. And one quick remark, while leaving the country before this period, the border control specialist will not impose any fines and sanctions on the foreigner. But if you travel outside Kazakhstan after June 5th, so according to the Administrative Offensive Code, the border control specialist will impose fines and sanctions depending on the violation. So also, when you apply for work visa at the immigration service, you plan to stay in Kazakhstan after June 5th, and you need to submit the documents and the application form by this period. You go to the immigration office by providing the work permit, which the company applied to you, obtained to you, and you're applying for C3 work visa. So in this case, even if you do this until that period of time, still the immigration service specialist may impose you fine and may just, Anel, please help me, привлечь к административной ответственности.
We'll put sanctions, and then
Yes.
the foreigner would face administrative liability before the process.
Yes, if you're extending your stay in Kazakhstan and you're submitting all documents prior to June 5th, so even despite that, the immigration authorities may impose fines and you will bear the liability according to the existing immigration rules. But if you're traveling until June 5th and you don't plan to overstay, so no sanctions and no fines during that period of time. So this is the main and basic information we wanted to share with you. So about the visa-free regime, still we have questions about the PCR certificate, about the application, Ashyq application, and the overstay of the foreigners in Kazakhstan. And we have received questions prior to the webinar dates, and we would like to consider those questions during our Q&A session. So let's start, and Anel will help me to get answers to the questions we received. So let's start.
Yes, Anel, thank you for the detailed presentation on the current order of of arrivals of the foreigners and also COVID-19 restrictions. And let's move to the Q&A session. So the question, one of the most common questions is, I got my vaccination, and am I allowed to enter Kazakhstan without PCR test before 30 days? So what about the vaccination? As we said before, if the foreigner or Kazakh national, it doesn't matter, he did receive the vaccination abroad, this vaccination passport of this template will not be recognized by the Kazakh authorities. They only accept the passport and also the vaccination procedures which took place within Kazakhstan, within the territory of our country. What about the requirements to pass the PCR test on each crossing the border? There are two exemptions. The first one, the Kazakh nationals who received the full complex of the vaccination in Kazakhstan, and also the foreigners who have permanent residence permits. What about the or foreigners who have the visas or other migration documentation, and even if they have got all the doses of the vaccine and have got the vaccination passport, this will not make an exam, and they are still required to pass the PCR test on each crossing the border. What about the timing? 30 days would apply for those who are the permanent residence permit holders. What about the visa holders or temporary residence permit holders, like Eurasian Economic Union countries' citizens? They still have to comply with the IDC requirement and also PCR test.
Yes, just to sum up, there's requirement for residence permit holders and the requirement for foreign nationals who are the family members of Kazakhstan citizens. If they don't have, let's say, IDC permission, they can travel to Kazakhstan without any problems. But when they will decide to, let's say, to travel back to their home countries, they can return to Kazakhstan only after 30 days. Still, this requirement in place, and no information about the lifting this requirement, unfortunately, at this moment, no information yet.
Yes, the calculation starts from the moment when the foreigner exits Kazakhstan. So no like a calculation from when he arrived and then from the second arrival, only when the foreigner exits and then comes back to Kazakhstan. They have to be in timing as 30 days minimum.
On this point, may I just add, EUROBAK has made a proposal at one of the events that we had with Work Permit Kazakhstan, and there were some representatives of sanitary services that, and also we are talking with the German business club, that it is important to apply this test not only to the residents of Kazakhstan and permanent resident holders of Kazakhstan, but also to those foreigners who have the visa, because it's a formality of a visa. And we are talking about physical persons who have been vaccinated in Kazakhstan and the passport is accepted. So we were informed that they have noted this proposal, and we hope that there will be changes very shortly on this point.
Yes, and there is a question from the Zoom
chat.
Yes, in chat about the first question we asked. So does it mean there must be PCR testing done if it is 30 days has not passed? No, the 30 days means the question which was submitted by a person is a Kazakhstan residence permit holder. So he got his vaccination okay, but for Kazakhstan residence permit holder, there is a requirement to return back to Kazakhstan only after 30 days since the last departure date. So we are talking about only those 30 days. It's not related to the PCR testing. So maybe the question was not correct, but we try to understand it as now we see that this person is a Kazakhstan residence permit holder.
Also, Anwar, there is another question from GG user. So, dear team, possibly to change the mistake surname and in the vaccination passport? If yes, please advise. So, in regards of your surname indicated in the passport, your name as actually corresponds with the naming connected to IIN number. So, if your name is already put or connected with the IIN incorrectly, so in Cyrillic, in Russian language. So it's better to apply to the authorities like the government for the citizens with the request to rechange the naming in the national databases and then apply for the to correct your personal details in the passport as consequently.
Anel, I have seen a photo of a person who whose name was completely misspelled in vaccination passport, and it was absolutely different name from what they really are. It was a Russian reading of the English or British name and a last name. So you were saying they have to go to eGov, dialing 1414 and speaking in English, asking them to correct it, or you can apply online. What is the procedure? If you know, that would be really helpful.
In practice, to dial and call 1414 is not the efficient way, because sometimes the call operators are busy and you cannot reach the relevant person to contact with. It's better to go personally to the relevant departments where you're residing, in the region where you reside. In Almaty, there are a minimum six centers where you may apply for public services, and then to submit the request. What about the Russian spelling and Russian writing of the name? This is correct, because IIN number, it connected with the naming of the foreigner, not in like Latinic version, it's in Cyrillic. So even if like the name of the foreigner, British nationalist, like Tim Brown, in the passport, they will be also written Tim Brown, but in Russian. Not in English.
We submit the translated version of the passport while we're applying for the EIN number. So this is the standard procedure.
Sometimes the IIN number procurement is managed by the specialist where the foreigner works in. And sometimes the initial translation of the passport, like the notarized translation of the passport to Russian, may be incorrect. Because the spelling can be different, and then the transcription and the pronunciation may be different, and due to the barrier and due to the translation between two different languages, they may be some mismatching between like the writings of the name in Russian and in English. So yes, the foreigner has right to apply to the authorities with the request to correct the naming his name in like writing in Cyrillic version, and then the vaccination passport may be changed.
Yes, it's normal that when Kazakhstan authorities introduce some new applications or some new requirements and still questions with working with those applications, for example. So we need just to wait until they change and update those applications. So they're working on that at this time. So let's continue our questions, and we will return back to the questions we received during the Zoom session. So we will return to them in 10 minutes later on. So the next question, is the vaccination taken in the UK, AstraZeneca approved in Kazakhstan? This is a good question. Will Kazakhstan government issue vaccine passport if I'm vaccinated outside Kazakhstan? Unfortunately, at this moment, the foreign vaccination passport are not recognized by the Kazakhstan authorities. So even if you were vaccinated and you received the vaccination passport issued by the UK authorities or any other countries, and you're trying to enter Kazakhstan with this passport, vaccination passport, so you need PCR certificates in order to smoothly arrive in Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan government currently does not recognize the foreign vaccination passport. So only vaccination, the full course of vaccination received on the territory of Kazakhstan. So next question, Anel.
Yes, the next question. What are the requirements and process for obtaining Kazakh visa for my family members, UK nationals? I am holding C3 work visa with the IDC permission. What about the obtainment or the dependence visa? So if your family is abroad and they are in London or every country in the world, not in Kazakhstan, I mean, the process of their arrival is the standard one. First, you have to apply for the IDC permission in order to get the permission for them to arrive, as they are still the UK nationals. There are no exemptions for them. If your family members are within the territory of Kazakhstan, they are locally residing in here, or maybe they have some expired visas or some sort of another situation, you have the possibility to apply for the C3 visa for your family members as a dependents here locally in regions of Kazakhstan, depending where you reside or maybe where you implement the labor activities. And what about the additional documents which you have to present? Of course, they have to be the certificate of birth or marriage. It depends whether you're applying your spouse or children. And also, if those certificates been issued abroad, outside of Kazakhstan, they have to comply with the requirements of apostillization or consular legalization, and also translation to Russian or Kazakh, it depends. And after complying with the preparation of the documents package, you can submit the passports to the migration police here in Almaty and then receive the visas, C3 visas. What about the if your family is abroad, then once you receive IDC permission for them to cross the border, and once they will be allowed to arrive to Kazakhstan, the company, which is your employer, they can submit the letter of invitation in Kazakhstan, and then once it's approved, your family members may apply to the Kazakhstan embassy in London and then get the visas, and also then physically come to Kazakhstan with the valid visas, PCR test certificates, and IDC permission printed out in hands.
And just one quick note, usually in standard standard processing time, approximately 1.5 months in order to invite your family members to Kazakhstan, considering those two requirements, IDC permission and work visa for family members. So we need to keep in mind, so this processing time is about 1.5 months.
Yes, the timing begins since like submitting the initial application to the IDC, and then until like the sticking the visa into the passports. And then the further arrival, it depends on the tickets or the availability of the flights to Kazakhstan, and just going through the transition points, it depends.
The next question, I've already have an IN number and have gotten vaccinated. However, I cannot get my vaccination passport through the eGov application because I don't appear to be registered. How can I do this? I appreciate any help you can provide. I got the full course of vaccination and still I cannot download the eGov application. So it's not only the problem that foreign nationals face during this time with the working of the eGov application. Still problems with the receiving the data, the information from this eGov application, mobile application. So I believe that you need to contact the technical service of the eGov portal, so they may help with your question. And they can you can answer and submit your question in English. So there was a practice, no problems with that. You just need to submit this question to the specialist of the eGov portal, because it's the question about the technical part of the question. So still problems with this, unfortunately, but hope in the nearest time they will fix all these problems with eGov mobile application, and as well as Ashyq. The same question we received on Zoom about the just one.
Also, Anwar, please let me add about the technical
Yes.
support group. There is no need to submit them like the number of the same inquiries to them, as maybe you just thinking that they will not answer you. They probably will answer you because this is one of the fixed procedures and this is like their job duties. But what about the timing? Of course, they will not answer you like this the next day. You have to wait approximately 4 and 5 days. It will take a week, in average, and then they will answer you that let's say they accepted your request, and then with the solution which they may offer you at that moment. So there is no need to just double or send like 3, 4 the same queries, or just as you might think that they will not, they didn't receive it or they didn't answer you.
And the same question, most names are correctly written in Cyrillic in the vaccination passport, but the names in English are not correctly written. Can I use an authorized translation of the Russian or Kazakh copy? Anel, how does it work in practice? Whether it is required to provide authorized copies or not?
Maybe the user may also the visits of our webinar may clarify where does he wants to present the translation.
It depends on the place.
It depends. Currently, due to this message, I cannot give exact answer because we are not aware which authorities have to be engaged in your just current question.
Okay, so we will return a little bit later to this question. So can the Indian nationals living in another country enter Kazakhstan based on the valid ITC permission and work visa? Yes, I will answer this question. Currently, considering the existing COVID situation in India, there are some restrictions on entry of the Indian nationals to Kazakhstan. And even if, let's say, an Indian citizen traveling to Kazakhstan have a valid ITC permission, valid work visa, work permit in Kazakhstan, and if he travels from India, directly from India, so mostly the border control specialists will not allow him to enter the country, take into account the measures that we have in place. But if a foreigner, for example, lives in Ukraine or in Russia under residence permit and have valid ITC permission or work visa to Kazakhstan, so in this case, the border control specialist will check all these documents and may allow him to enter the country. So for this case, for such cases, no, let's say, problems with the entry. But if the person, I mean, Indian citizen doesn't have an IDC permission and you are trying to apply for the IDC permission at this moment, so you will be rejected because of this situation in India. So only if you have a valid issued IDC permission and work visa. So who issues the IDC permission? The question about from the online session. So you need to apply for this IDC permission to the Akimat or to the ministry. But Elios on Yango, it's better to visit our website wbk.kz, where you can find information about step-by-step procedure for issuing the IDC permission, and you will understand what you need to do in order to get this IDC permission. So
yes, what about the authority who exactly issues the IDC permissions? The permission is the minutes of the meeting. So the minutes of the meeting are being issued by the Chancellery of the Prime Minister Cabinet. And after the IDC meeting been held, let's say on Thursday, usually it takes 2 or 3 business days for the Chancellery or the Cabinet of the Prime Minister to issue the finalized minutes of the meeting with all the details or all the questions which been arisen or which been discussed during the meeting, like last week, let's say. And then when this minutes of the meeting been issued, they are distributed between the regional government authorities. And then those regional government authorities or the ministries, they share the documents with the companies who did apply for such permission before.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So let's go.
To the next
Yes,
question.
to the next question. What happens to kids who don't have Ashyq app? So no need to download the Ashyq app for kids. So if you want to enter the building or let's say any other public place, so you can show the passport to the reception or to the any responsible person of this building or premises. So they will put the data in the Ashyq app. Will check the status using your passport and passport of your kids. So no need to have individual identification number for kids as well. So just using their passports in order to get access to the buildings.
Anwar, we have another question on Ashyq.
Okay.
If the Ashyq app is down and one can't enter the airport for flight, who covers the flight costs and eventual issues?
They actually recently there were the post on mass media about the reference to particular airline companies, and they did answer. So it depends on the airline, like Air Astana, Kazakh Air, or any other airlines. They do cover the expenses like differently, and it depends on the tariff, if it's refundable or non-refundable, or some other specific details of the case. So there is no correct, like the exact answer on each foreigner who've been like with the red, or Kazakh national who've been with the red status when he entered the airport and then missed the flights due to this new information.
What they mean here, I believe, is that the application was not working.
Oh.
And this happened on a weekend. As you enter the restaurant, they say, Ashyq is down, but you cannot enter without Ashyq. So what we're gonna do, we were told, we were instructed to write down your INN number, INN, and then and you can enter. But what happens at the airport or at the check-in?
So if yes, on weekend there was a big problem for for all visitors trying to use Ashyq. My personal case, it didn't work on Saturday, but it worked on Sunday. So if, for example, there is a problem with the connection, it's not like a big issue for the airport visitors. If you have flights and you're traveling back to your home country, in order to enter the airport building, you can just show your passport to the person at the reception desk, and he will check the status using his own device. So if let's say you're trying to scan the QR codes on the front door, and you face problems with the internet connection or with the scanning of this QR code, it's not a problem. You can enter the airport building, showing your passport, and say that the application doesn't work, and they will check your passport number and using their own device, and they will allow you to enter.
Let me rephrase this, Anwar. Let's look at this scenario where Ashyq is down, it's not working, it's not connecting, and it is a governmental issue because it now belongs to the government. And then a citizen has to fly, but Ashyq is not accessible. Will the passenger be allowed, passengers in this case, still proceed to fly, or what happens in this case?
If the application is down and it doesn't work and it doesn't
connect.
Connect and identify the status, so he will not be allowed to enter the building.
So you're saying the whole airport will be on hold until Ashyq gets back to work?
No, there were some questions about the Ashyq application, which were submitted during the online session last week, when the Atomican Association, when the representative of the ministries, they spoke about the Ashyq application. But there were no, let's say, cases in practice. There were no cases when the Ashyq didn't work during the whole day, for example, and the specialists could not check the status. So from time to time, yes, some difficulties with the connection, but if, let's say, a foreigner faces these difficulties and even the airport representative cannot check the status, so we believe that if, let's say, he misses a flight or she misses a flight, so the airline should reimburse all these costs related to air tickets. Because today, or maybe today or yesterday, there was an article in the newspapers about the procedure of refunding the money for
depends on the airline. Each airline refunds them paid money for the tickets differently. So
yes, it's better.
It depends on the tariff.
Yes, I think that it's better to ask this question the airline representatives. So the better to be on the safe side. Whether, for example, it's like a worst case scenario. If I'm not allowed to enter, what are the sanctions? So who will reimburse their air tickets costs? So I think that we can receive, let's say, a very clear answer from the airline representatives, but he needs to, let's say, to address this question to the airline representatives.
So we confirm personal.
Yes. Sure. When the Ashyq application didn't work on weekends, so still restaurants and cafe, they allowed to enter visitors.
Yes, restaurants and cafes did, but what about the airlines?
Not airlines, about the airports.
Yeah, airport.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes. But there were some updates a few days ago. The Ashyq was updated. So we are waiting for the next updates of the application and hope in few weeks they will fix all these problems with working the Ashyq.
Yes, we hope so. So the next question. I'm a foreigner currently residing in my native country, planning to move to Kazakhstan to obtain a resident permit as the following situation. My son was born in Kazakhstan and a citizen of Kazakhstan and currently in Kazakhstan. Can I enter the country during the pandemic? How do I? So let's answer for the first question. If you are a foreigner and your child, your native child, let's say, so you have, so if you have the documentation that he is your son, so you have like close relationship with the Kazakhstani national, you are allowed to come to Kazakhstan. But what
without any IDC permission?
Without any IDC permission.
But now all the foreigners want to have sons of them. Of Kazakh citizens, right? With the passport for Kazakhstan.
Currently, the question is really relevant and actual. So yes, if you have the documentation which certifies that you are the father and this is your son as a national of Kazakhstan, you are allowed to come to Kazakhstan, but there is a restriction concerning the timing. So you are allowed to come to Kazakhstan again one time in 30 days. If you've been to Kazakhstan before, then this calculation starts from the date when you're exiting. Then you have to come back only after 30 days. What about the requirements for the visa or other immigration documentation?
There is a notice, biological child.
Yes, biological
child, yes. And if you are not a residence permit in Kazakhstan, you are a foreigner so you have to comply with the requirements to come to Kazakhstan, either with the visa or if there is a bilateral agreement between your home country in Kazakhstan, then you may come under exempt without the visa. But what about the permission to come to Kazakhstan? You are actually permitted to Kazakhstan as the father of a Kazakh national son. But you have to have in hands apostilled or legalized, or the birth certificate, or if it's Kazakh birth certificate, then no additional notarization would be required. Also, if you are living abroad and you are under visa requirements, you belong to this category who are required to get the visa to Kazakhstan, you may apply to the embassy or consulate of Kazakhstan in your home country and then apply for a private visa based on the birth certificate of your son. And this document will give you right to obtain the visa in the context of active quarantine restrictions in Kazakhstan.
But unfortunately, there is no any embassy in his home country, so this will cause any further problems because there is no any embassy and his home country is closed at this time. Yes.
Actually, if there is no Kazakh embassy in this particular country, there has to be a Kazakh embassy consulate in like the neighboring or nearby country, which actually covers this territory, yes. Under the territorial jurisdiction. And let's say in New Zealand there is no Kazakh embassy in there, but let's say Kazakhstan embassy in Singapore, it covers New Zealand. And New Zealand nationals, they have like the green way to come to Singapore and then get the visa. But also there are, if let's say we're not talking about the private visas or maybe work visas, if there is no Kazakh embassy in your country, there is a possibility to apply for the visa on arrival.
Yes, visa at the airports for private purposes. BTN visa also is issued at the airport, so you can apply for a visa on arrival. So let's go. We are a little bit late with the time. So. What are the required documents for spouse dependent visa of expat worker not KZ citizen? So we already answered this question. You need to apply for the same C3 work visa category. Depending on the nationality, you need to apply to the Kazakh embassy in your home country where your family is currently. And two main documents required. First of all, apostilled copy or legalized copy of marriage certificate for your spouse visa and birth certificates for your children visa. So those two documents should be submitted to the local immigration office in Kazakhstan, where you work, let's say in Almaty or in Nur-Sultan or in Atyrau. And this should be done by your inviting company. You cannot submit those documents in person. Using your own, let's say, own work visa. The invitation should be submitted by the company which invited you for work in Kazakhstan.
Also, there's one detail of the dependence visa. There is no right to work under residing with this sort of visa. If, let's say, spouse or wife of an expat worker wants to get employed in Kazakhstan, or she already found the company which is actually interested in getting her employed, then just signing the employment contract and still residing with the sort of visa, which is connected to the employer of your, let's say, husband, it's restricted and is forbidden. So what about the employment of so she has to comply with the standard process of employment and getting all the work permits, like the work visa for the new company, which will present itself as an inviting company of the spouse or the wife, particularly, like directly, not like the reference on the company or employer of her husband. So yes, no right to work.
So this is the question which we already received in Zoom. So we will return back to this question. And the last question about the tourist entry rules in Kazakhstan. So Anel, any ideas
Yes, I'm interested in foreign tourist entry rules in
Mhm.
Kazakhstan. Currently, according to the current rules, tourist purposes of visit are suspended. That's what it means, that the tourist visas are also under suspension in Kazakhstan. And Kazakh consuls all over the world, they are restricted to issue such visas, but there is an exemption of 15 states with which Kazakhstan has resumed direct flights, and also the states which we have bilateral agreements. By a bilateral agreement, it means that the foreigner may come under visa-free regime without the visa in the passport, and
Mhm.
his purpose of visit will be also tourist. This is possible. What about the countries like, let's say, Germany, which we do not have bilateral agreements, but we have direct flights, which were resumed almost for 1 year or more. German nationals may apply for the touristic visas. They may apply even for any kind of visas according to the rules to comply with the requirements. Doesn't matter which purpose of visit they intend to visit Kazakhstan under.
Mhm.
So
So
15 states apply.
it's normal that the Kazakhstan authorities tries to uh, uh, not to allow tourists to travel to Kazakhstan during these pandemic periods. So as other countries do, but still, when there is a direct air flight with the country, no restrictions on applying for tourist, private, or any other kind of visa. So only uh, citizens of those countries have exemptions on further trips to Kazakhstan. But other citizens need visa, and unfortunately, tourist visa cannot be issued at this moment. So let's go ahead with the 10 minutes Zoom session. I will start from
There
the
is one
beginning.
question, yes.
Yes, can expatriate vaccinated in Kazakhstan upload the passport from eGov? From the eGov portal, no possibility to download this passport of vaccination, but only using the eGov mobile application. So all the vaccination passports can be downloaded only from this e-mobile app. Our expatriate has IAN number, could not to download vaccination passport from eGov mobile and won't let him register his IN not recognized. The same problem, so you need to contact the technical service or maybe just wait for some period of time when the application will work correctly. But still, even not only foreigners, but still Kazakh nationals cannot download the vaccination passports due to some technical reasons.
Also, there is a question. Would
Yes.
it be possible to apply for B20 exit visa before June 5th, 2021, if a foreign national is planning to leave KZ soon after June 5th? What about the B20? If someone is not familiar with the visa, this is force majeure visa, which is issued according when the foreigner or the company shows that there is no direct flights with the home country, and that's why the foreigner has to take some time before the Kazakh authorities just to regulate the question of how he will exit the country. And usually it's been issued for specific, for the short meantime, like 15 days. It's been issued for up to 30 days. And actually, this would be one of the actual practices closer to the end of May. And usually when all those deadlines come up and became closer, this B20 visa becomes really relevant and usual as one of the visas which been issued by the migration police.
But the decision on issuance will depend on the immigration authorities.
Yes,
even they will decide whether to grant you this B20 visa or not. So you need to apply for this visa to the immigration authorities, but no guarantee that they will issue this visa. That's why the Kazakhstan authorities give the permitted term to leave the country before June 5th for those who have expired or expiring documents. So let's go ahead. What is the procedure to enter Kazakhstan for Oman citizens? The same requirements. In order to travel to Kazakhstan, you need to secure your IDC permission, which is issued by the host entity in Kazakhstan, and the visa, which should be also obtained by the organization which invites you in Kazakhstan.
Noir, there was another question down below on someone owner of a company entering Kazakhstan from a not allowed country such as Thailand, which has no direct flights to Kazakhstan. I have already submitted all the documents to the ministry, but not heard from them since March 2021.
Yes, if you are the owner of the company, it doesn't change the whole situation. So if you submitted or your representative submitted the application for IDC entry permission, so and no information yet, but it's quite strange because in 1 month or in 3 weeks or 1 month, the ministry or the relevant authorities, they give the response whether you're rejected or you're good and approved by the IDC permission. So still you need to apply for this IDC permission, and if you don't have any information from the ministry, you need to submit the documents to the Akimat, where your company is registered. If your company is registered in Almaty, submit the application for IDC permission to the Almaty Akimat. If your company is registered in other cities, so the Akimat of that city. And yes, Akimat will reply even faster than the ministry.
Also, each governmental body in Kazakhstan, it has registrars or cancellaries which actually register incoming documentation or incoming request of natural persons, legal persons, of all the applicants. So if your request was formed as an official request to the Ministry, let's say, of Industrial Development, there is a chancellery who actually registered this letter under some particular incoming number, and also your letter also have the reference number. You may call Chancellor directly and then ask on the status of your letter, referring to the reference number of this letter, and then she will say who is the performer, or if this letter been closed as like completed request. Then you may also ask the registrar who been performing your request, and then ask for direct number, phone number of the employee of the Ministry of Industrial Development. So
and Anel, may I interrupt you? Does Work Permit Kazakhstan provide these services for the companies?
We do assist the companies, the clients, the partners who want to invite the foreign nationals for business purposes, for work purposes, and we do assist with the IDC permissions obtainment.
But normally, the request has to come from the company, not from the individual.
We assist the company, so we do not invite the foreigners on behalf of our company.
Yeah, I understand that. But the request to the government has to go from the company. An individual, individually cannot apply for this permission.
Yes, for foreigner is an invited person, where the applications has to be written only on behalf of the residing company who actually invite.
Okay. All right.
So next question: is it possible to vaccinate permit holders in Kazakhstan? So we unfortunately cannot understand the question. Is it work permit holders or residence permit holders? They can receive. Even work permit holders, residence permit holders can receive vaccination in Kazakhstan, but for work permit holders and work visa holders, this vaccination passport will not work. I mean, when you decide to travel back to Kazakhstan, you need to provide a PCR certificate. So
there was the same question in our Facebook page. That the vaccination, if you get the vaccination here, it's only for residence holders
received yes,
And
vaccination in
citizens
Kazakhstan.
of Kazakhstan. The rest still need a PCR test.
Yes, right. Can expats flying from 50 countries from Russia arrive in Kazakhstan without IDC permission and being here for work purpose? Of course, no problems. They can do. They can travel without any IDC permission, as we said before.
Another question: any changes in application process for C2 visa relating with family members? Do they need protocol of MVK or IDC? For example, if they have Slovakian citizenship, as you're a family member, so you're applying for the visa with the purpose of visit as reuniting with family members, while presenting the marriage certificate or birth certificate, and also the rest documents package. There is no restrictions for you to apply for C2 visa without MVK, because MVK IDC, it applies only for administrative purposes of visit, which are work and business. It doesn't imply private purposes, as let's say, I am a wife, a Kazakh national, and I want to invite my husband, foreign, like French national, to Kazakhstan. Such applications are not accepted and considered by IDC at the end.
Will 30 days time frame for the border crossing restriction applies to H3 multiple visa holders? It's service passport, as far as I remember, visa holders. No, this restriction doesn't apply to H3 multiple visa holders. Only applies to KZ citizens and foreign citizens, or who are family members of the Kazakhstan nationals and residence permit holders. Visa holders does not need to follow these requirements. Do family members of investor and business visa holders have a right to obtain IDC permission? Business visa holders, family members, no, because they don't have any grounds for this. Investor visas, same as for work visas. They can apply for IDC permission for family members. I mean, the company may apply for the IDC permission for family members. For business visitors, no. Did I understand correctly that if I have a work visa and was vaccinated in Kazakhstan, still need a PCR test to enter the country? Yes, still need a PCR certificate valid for 74 hours.
There were also requests from the foreigners who are the visa holders and got the vaccination here in Kazakhstan, and they were a little bit ashamed why, like, the color of the passport makes some preference before like permanent residence permit holders and Kazakh nationals. And let's say, why does he still have to pass PCR test on each crossing the border? But this is other current requirements. And what about this discrimination and just some other following questions? This is like one of the secondary like backgrounds. If the authorities, they impose such restrictions, the foreigners and residents and also travelers to Kazakhstan, they have to comply with the legislation which been announced and which is active for today, for the time being.
Yes, and we hope the Kazakhstan authorities will expand the categories of individuals.
We have requested this.
Yes,
already.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
So just to be clear with the Aloy's question, is it the company's or the workers' responsibility to apply for the IDC permission? It's the company's responsibility to apply for IDC permission, only the inviting company. So the next question, just one moment. Is it possible to convert a spouse dependent visa to work visa once inside Kazakhstan? It's the same type of visa. When we're talking about the work visa for family members, we are talking about the same type of visa. We're just saying dependent visa, we're saying spouse visa, but it's the same work visa. And family members are not allowed to work officially in Kazakhstan. If, let's say, you are accompanied by your spouse in Kazakhstan and she's willing to work in Kazakhstan, she needs to apply for work permits in order to work officially in Kazakhstan. If, let's say, she accompanies you and she doesn't want to work in Kazakhstan, she can only stay with you under this visa during the whole year. And if necessary, the visa can be extended in the future.
There is another question. I came with B10 visa, which is the private one. Then last year, migration authorities changed it to B20 exit visa. I registered a company in my name, so I have now IIN, BIN number of the company, but still need to leave the country to change the visa to C3 work visa. Is there any way to shift it here without leaving Kazakhstan? But taking into account that you've been granted with the exit visa, it actually implies you're exiting the state, and there is no, and it is also for single entry visa. So it means once you exit Kazakhstan, it becomes invalid, and then you have to apply for initial visa to Kazakhstan based on the purpose of visit. So about the possibility to replace B20 visa to C3, unfortunately, there is no such possibility, as there's also the mismatching between the purposes of visit. You're actually intending to exit the country. And the second option, the second detail is that the multiplicity has to be the same. So the multiple visa can be replaced to, let's say, another multiple visa. What about the single entry visas? There is no way to, like in the standard mode, to apply for the multiple visa at the end, even if there are some another exemptions written in the rules. So in your case, you have to exit Kazakhstan, and then if your citizenship implies IDC permission, then you will apply for IDC and then apply to the visa support, and then get the visa at the Kazakh embassy or consulate abroad, according to your case.
Yes, and one quick remark, just for all foreigners willing to open a company here in Kazakhstan, you can do that if you have, let's say, B10 visa or C3 visa. You need to apply for a right visa, which is business immigrant visa C5. Only in this case, the company will be opened correctly and you can work without any problems in the future. But if you open your company through the YouGov web portal and you have, let's say, B10 visa, so in the future, you will have difficulties with operating of this company because you have, let's say, incorrect visa. You need to apply for C5 visa. So you, Mr. Aidan Edin, you can order the online consultation after the webinar. So we will explain further how to apply for C5 visa. And the last question.
Yeah, Anwar, let's take just one last question.
Who's your representative in our office? So just try to submit the contact details. Unfortunately, the chat is closed. So I will send the information, the email, of the representatives of our office in Atyrau.
And also you can scan the QR code that is on the screen right now. I'm sure that Work Permit Kazakhstan specialists would be delighted to take your questions and provide you with an online consultation. Unfortunately, we ran out of time.
Yes.
Camila, you had your hand raised. We've seen you. I'm really sorry that we're not able to take your question, but hopefully we can you can address it directly to Work Permit Kazakhstan, to Anwar, Anel. They are here. Please scan QR code. And we've run out of time. It's already almost 20 minutes past the stated time. I think we need to do our webinars with on these topics for an hour and a half. We've held this this event open, and it is broadcasted on Facebook Live. The recording of this session is also available. The presentation will be available as well for EUROBAK members. Those who are not EUROBAK members, we are extremely happy to extend our invitation to join our association. We would like to take this opportunity and thank Work Permit Kazakhstan, personally, Anwar and Anel, for being with us today. Thank you for the work that you are doing. I feel always safe and happy to be honest, that we have specialists like yourselves who can take any questions on the issue, because there are a lot of questions, and it's great to know that there are professionals who are in touch with the government authorities on a daily basis, clarifying, confirming, and always reconfirming answers to your questions on a professional base. Thank you very much, everybody, for participating. We look forward to seeing you at our other events, and we look forward to other events with Work Permit Kazakhstan on as the topics arise and as the changes come in force.
Yes, yes.
So, Anwar.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yulia, and hope to see you in the next webinars very soon.
And please scan the QR code and be in touch with Work Permit Kazakhstan directly. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Take
you
care.
all. Also, let me add, we're really pleased to see the visitors of our webinar with EUROBAK in cooperation. And also, we are all open for any further inquiries from your side. Our mailbox is monitored on a regular basis. Also, you may mail me if your query is regarding Almaty region or any southern region of Kazakhstan. And also, on our website, you may find our contact details with the numbers and also mailboxes of my colleagues in other offices of Kazakhstan.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.